Last night was without question one of the dumbest Red Sox games I've watched this season. They get off to a 3-0 lead, and then Walker Buehler gives up 5 runs in the bottom half of the inning. The Sox end up walking 11 batters. They ran into outs constantly throughout the night. Alex Cora got ejected again, and albeit he was right, like he had every reason to be arguing because it was the wrong call. If you guys didn't see the play, Abraham Toro was sliding in a second, and the defender had his knee blocking the bag, which is illegal. It's against the rules. But because the throw beat him by so much, the umpires allowed it, which again is against the rules. So you shouldn't be allowing it just because the throw beat you by that much. Like, how does that make any sort of sense? You're just going against the rule book. But the Sox didn't deserve to win that game. Same thing on Sunday. They beat themselves and they didn't win the game. And last night was the same thing. And if you look at Walker Buehler, he has been absolutely horrific. So taking a look at since he's come back from the IL, he has an 8.59 ERA in 7 starts. If you take a look at the some of the advanced numbers, because again, ERA is definitely for starting pitchers matters, but opposing hitters have a 368 average with an 868 slugging against his fastball and a 400 average with a 610 slugging percentage against his cutter, which means that it's just not moving. It's not coming in hot. It's just easy to hit. Like, there's no other way around it. Hitters are seeing it well. And if you compare that to his sinker, well, opponents are slugging 333. So that's essentially in half. And that's also against his slider and sweeper. Okay, so his sinker, slider, and sweeper combo. But he's not able to work in the fastball, which is why he's had such ineffective outings. Because if it's out of the zone, nobody's chasing because it's slow. Again, it's just very predictable. And it's looking like Bueller's days are done in Boston. There was a report that multiple teams are interested in trading for him if the Sox decide to be buyers. But I don't think the Sox need to be buyers to trade Walker Buehler. I mean, to this point, I don't think you can continue to pitch him. He's been that bad. It's an automatic loss every time he's out there. And all of a sudden, we've lost 3 straight games. It looked like the season was about to be saved. And then here the Sox are back down to 500, back to being out of the playoff picture. This team is going to need multiple more starting pitchers to even have a chance to make the playoffs. If they don't make any moves, they're going to be in trouble. I did see a report yesterday from John Heyman that the Sox could end up pursuing a Ryan O'Hearn from the Baltimore Orioles, who's a left-handed slugger, leading the AL in terms of DHs for All-Star voting after Devers was traded to the Giants, and then Josh Naylor from the Arizona Diamondbacks. Now, there also was another report that the D-backs and the O's are not trying to sell right now, but there's also a month until the trade deadline. The Diamondbacks aren't going anywhere. They just lost Corbin Carroll, and then the O's suck. I guess I can't really say they suck, because if they suck, we kind of suck, because we're like 5 games ahead of them, which is kind of sad. But also, the O's are as far back as from us as we are from the Yankees. So it's just baseball. If you have a good month, you can make a lot of noise. You can go from out of the playoffs to legitimately being in the playoffs. Like, if just one really good month. The Sox, though, it seemed like they were having that in June, and then all of a sudden, they lose to the Giants, 2 of the 3, and then they drop the first game against the Angels, who were under 500. The good news is that Garrett Crochet is pitching tonight, so that's about as guaranteed of a win as it gets. You know you're going to get probably 6 innings of 2 runs or less. And the offense come to play. They did yesterday. The offense, well, the base running was terrible, but the offense overall actually played pretty well, if I'm being completely honest. Just when you give up 5 runs in the bottom half of the first inning, it's going to be tough to win that game. And then on Wednesday, we're going to have Garrett Fitz. That's right, because Hunter Dobbins was placed on the IL. So Garrett Fitz is going to get the start. And then Buehler, his next start is going to be Sunday, Game 3 against the Blue Jays. And we're trying to catch the Blue Jays for that wild card spot. Well, technically, the Mariners have the final wild card spot, but you want to get as high up in the wild card spot as you can so you can get home field, because Fenway is about as big of a home field advantage as it literally can get in baseball. It might be the biggest home field advantage just because of the monster and the big right field. And with the Sox having Jarren Duran and, of course, Ceddanne Rafaela, that's a big time speed that you have out there. I mean, Duran's in left, so but honestly, we'll see what happens with Duran, because to this point, I don't really know. I mean, we made a whole video on him yesterday. There's been a lot of rumors going around that he could end up being traded, and I get why he would be traded. I don't want to see Durant go. I like watching him play. He had another huge mistake on the base pass though yesterday, and he's not been a good defender. So the fact that his offensive numbers are drastically down and his defensive numbers are drastically, it's just he's got to pick it up. But there's still, again, the guys, there's still half of a season left. We could be looking at Jaren Duran being an absolute like AL MVP candidate in the second half, whereas right now he's not looking very good. It's baseball, man. Things can change in the blink of an eye. That's why I love it, because right now I'm down on the Red Sox, but like a week ago I was super high on the Red Sox. It's just been this sort of like seesaw type of effect, but you want to have consistency. I mean, the Dodgers, the Yankees, they're consistently good every single season. You kind of know what you're getting out of them. The Red Sox, it seems like they're either garbage and miss the playoffs or they win the World Series. That's why just making the playoffs is always going to be huge for the Sox, because they made it, 4 years ago, and they were 2 games out of going to the World Series, and who knows what happens at that point. So that's just Boston baseball. It has been for a while. But the starting pitching, Giolito's been so good. Bayo's been damn good in his own right. We saw him throw 114 pitches against the Yankees. Of course, we also saw him, even his start before that, he was lights out too. But then it's just, you look at now with Hunter Dobbins injured, what do you get out of Garrett Fitz? He wasn't very good at the beginning of the season. And then also you're going to be looking at, well, Garrett Crochet, like nobody's worried about that. But it's just going to be the back end of the rotation. I feel very comfortable with Crochet and Bayo and like Giolito. But then it's just what do you get out of the other two guys is going to be kind of the thing. And that's going to sort of dictate how far the Red Sox can go this season. But when you look at the schedule, oh yeah, that's right. The first half schedule. So we're talking about, July 13th. And then the second half schedule is going to be out. That should be very interesting. I'm excited about that. But can the Sox just put together good starts and then have the offense score? It just seems like the pitching's either is good and then the offense sucks, or the offense is really good and the pitching sucks. I just want to see some balance, something where both sides are doing their thing. We just haven't had that this year. Even during the win streak at the beginning of the month that just ended by the Giants, the pitching was great and the offense wasn't, because the defense sucks and the base running sucks. So it just seems like the Red Sox are pretty far away from legit being a playoff team. But with the right moves and just some tweaks to the roster, I think they could get there. I think this offense has so much potential to where they can beat anyone. And then, of course, you've got Crochet. If Giolito can keep this up in Bayo, then you've got 3 really good starters up front. And then it's just going to be behind them. The Sox can go out there and get another big-time arm, which I think they will. And then they'll probably end up getting a first baseman. Because Casas, he's the future. But you still need somebody right now to sort of fill in there. I mean, Abraham Toro's done a good job. But, I mean, the thing with, like, a Ryan O'Hearn is that you could DH him, or you could play him at first. Like, Yoshida provides no power. Like, having a DH that doesn't hit for power just literally makes zero sense, but he's just making so much money to where you kind of have to play him, just how it works. And, Yoshida, he does a lot of good things, too. He hits for contact. He doesn't strike out. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he's a bad player, but when I think of a DH for the Red Sox, like, you need to be able to hit for power. That's why Devers was perfect, but he was making over $300 million. That's $30 million a year. To be a DH is a little bit preposterous.